Hello, hello. This is Laura V. With Laura V Studios on this YouTube channel, yes. Coming with a new project called Being Divine. I just love the title. I know it's going somewhere. It's going to be beautiful. Uh, so what the hell is this, right? It sounds lovely. Being Divine. Well, it was back in 2020 when I discovered Theo, who Sheila Gillette channels. And on her website, she had a free uh, meditation called Raising Your Vibration. And honestly, guys, to this day, I don't understand what raising your vibration means. I really don't. I don't get it. That's okay. I don't care. It's fine. Oh, but anyway, in this meditation at 4 minutes and 30 seconds, Theo says, I am a divine being fully expressing in this incarnation that divinity now. Yeah, I've listened to that meditation a few hundred times, at least, I think, by this time. And I finally get it. I think I'm finally getting it. So, what this is my journey um, on working on embodying my divinity. And this is an invitation to those of you who are on the same path, that you have awakened to a certain level where you recognize that you have a higher self, but more than that, you've awakened to soul level consciousness. And what do I mean by soul level consciousness? Um, it's you know it. You know it when it happens. It might take a little while for you to figure it out, but you know it. And so maybe this is what I need to do. Maybe I need to help connect the dots. Um, it took me about a month for me to realize that I had awakened at the soul level. And what that meant was well, okay, how it happened for me, and this is not how it's going to happen for most people, but how it happened for me was I, I was told to go to a shaman I was working with and say, we need to go deeper, and it has something to do with my mom. And my mom showed up, and she's a soul now. I mean, she passed a few years ago, 17, so more than 7 years ago. But she showed up in her soul form, I guess is the best way to say it. And she invited me to blend with her. And by doing that, she lifted me to soul level consciousness. And then we communicated with one another through the shaman. The shaman was like telling me what they were saying because I was hearing some things. My mom was talking to me, but at that point, I was kind of overcome with grief and a little bit of guilt. And so they were talking through him to help me understand why I could get rid of the guilt, let go of the guilt, I should say. And yeah, and it was just really beautiful. But I experienced myself as a soul. I think that's what I mean by soul awakening. You experience yourself as a soul. And for me, my soul doesn't have human form. My soul is a big, big, deep well of love. That's what I am at the soul level. I'm just consciousness. I'm this big, deep well of love. And I got to swim in it. So I think my soul likes have, incarnate, creating these avatars. I'm sure I'm not just human. I'm sure I'm all over the place, all over the universe. But that's how I experience things is by creating these avatars that play out these characters, play out these stories. And this one is kind of interesting. I haven't really liked this one. Me personally, my soul, I think, has had a very different perspective on this. But now that I'm waking up more and more to soul level consciousness, I'm starting to get it. Finally, I'm starting to get it. Um, so yeah, so you have an experience that wakes you up to like who you are at the soul level. Like, Oh, but you have to like figure it, you have to figure out how to live that, you know? And that's the fun. Honestly, that's the fun is figuring out how to live that. Because it's like you are a divine being. And I've thought about this a lot. We've all heard it. Yeah, yeah, I know I'm a divine being. Yeah, I know I have a higher self. Yeah, I know I have guides. But are you living it? Are you experiencing it? Are you being it? Are you being divine? So that's my question. That's my sort of challenge to you. It's what I'm working on right now, being divine. And I know I've been working on it. I'm just now at a level where I can like really embrace it. Because it's been a like I really need to I would get these visions, I would get these glimpses of what it's like to be an embodied soul. I could see that, souls are shiny. And so now when I see souls, I can now see like what's animating that human character that I'm seeing. Like, how interesting. But it's like I think the goal, at least for people like me, for those of you who are spiritually awakened and soul awakened, I know even awakened souls, we have different perceptions and viewpoints. Which is why I'm doing this, is to uh, offer a new viewpoint and perception on what this is like for those who resonate with that. So I'm putting this out there to find my tribe, basically. And so what I'm working on is embodying my divinity, being the divine being that I am. And I'm kind of excited. So it's kind of interesting. Let me see if I can back up a little bit to explain. For the last 9 months, I have been working with ladies, teaching them how to embody their higher selves, and then also how to tune into their into divine energies. Okay, so they had me do attunements to divine love first, and then attunements to soul, their soul, and then attune to other divine energies at the soul level. So I've been playing at the soul level with people. Um, but it's just been play. It's like some of them are really embodying their higher selves in a really big way, and that's very exciting. And some of them are very much connected to their souls, and they're experiencing their heaven on earth, which is beautiful. So, I accomplished that, and I'm proud of that. But I want to go deeper because I'm deeper, you know? And you are too. If you're still listening, you are too. And yeah. And so I think this title just came to me like a couple hours ago. I'm like, what's this gonna be? And then I was like, oh, I need to make a little video about this. Being divine. So that's what I'm working on. And I'm gonna try to document my journey and share my insights of what I'm learning and what I'm experiencing and go from there. So I was strutting along thinking, all right, I have found my thing. I found the thing I'm gonna do. And then 4 months later, it's like, nope. Well, 4 months later, I hit a snag. Let's put it that way. Um, because I'm on my awakening journey, right? And it was really interesting because last summer I got really stuck. Not stuck. I fell deep into a pit of despair and hopelessness, honestly. The trauma stuff that I had lived through as a kid just came at me with a vengeance. And I didn't have anybody who could really help me. People tried, but they couldn't. And then I found that, well, I had found this person months before, but it seemed like what he offered didn't work. So I had just left. And then one day my higher self was like, go get an astrology reading with him. I'm like, why? I guess because he needed to read my chart. But also he'd actually read my chart, actually. That's the crazy thing. I had gotten a mini astrology reading with him. Now that I think about it, it was crazy. So I already knew it was in my chart. But what I didn't know, the piece I didn't know was that I could heal it. I just thought I was just going to manage this, try to manage this stuff for the rest of my life, which I didn't really want to be much longer, until I could finally cross over and, be whole and complete again. And that's what I was being told. It's like, no, you're not doing that. I'm like, I'm not living this way. So, so he said, you're not on, yes, you chose this experience, but you chose it in order to learn how to heal it. I was like, wait, hold up. What? Me learn how to heal it? What? Well, so he has these invocations that he uses. And he's like, do you have a consistent way to get into to um embody your higher self or to be in an awakened state? I'm like, no. No, I've tried. I've been working on it for 3 years and have not found a consistent way to do it yet. He's like, well, how about you try my invocation? I'm like, it doesn't work. And he's like, well, would you mind if you did it with me? I'm like, fine. So I did it. He's like, oh, you're resisting it. I was like, oh, I didn't know it. I didn't know it until he said it. Once he said it, I could see it. It was so interesting. So I was like, oh, so now I have a built-in fail-safe for anybody who tries this invocation. I have a way to release the resistance in case you don't feel it. You just do it just in case kind of thing. But yeah, so I teach that now. But yeah, so then it came in. I was like, oh, I can work with this. And then I'm like, all right, I'll work with you. Help me heal this. And he's like, great, how about tomorrow morning at 9? I'm like, yeah, no, that did not happen. You, gosh, I was really traumatized back then. But yeah, so a week later we finally worked together and holy crap. My guides were like, we're not taking this lightly. We went deep, deep into the trauma I lived through. I'm like, what the hell? And we did that for like 2.5 months, going deep. And then I awakened at the soul level, and that was like the end of that portion. Then it was more like maintenance, like just kind of keep going kind of thing. But it was those 8 sessions were just the bulk of it. It was like, "Humph." And I awakened at the soul level, and that opened up the doors to what I was going to do. And so I was going along thinking, this is great. And then June came, here we were again. And the trauma stuff started like kicking in. And I was having difficulties staying in embodied awakening or even getting into embodied awakening. I'm like, what is going on? He's like, you're working on a breakthrough. I'm like, huh? What are you talking about? So June was rough. Then July came, and it was like, I got this very clear instruction. It is time to body your divine essence. I was like, oh, so, well, oh, I remember how this happened. I remember how this happened. So I gotta remember the story. I wanted to connect with my mom because when I'm feeling vulnerable and scared, I connect with the divine essence of my mom, of what I connected with back in November last year. And my guide said no. Like, what do you mean no? Like, you're going to connect with your own divine essence. I can do that. Apparently so. So I was like, okay, merge me with my divine essence. And it kind of worked. I was like, huh. And then things got rocky. Ugh. And then I got a healing session and that helped clear it. And it took another day. And then it was 2 days after the healing session that there's like, okay, maximum embodiment of your divine essence. It's like, oh, and it's worked. I felt it slip in. And I was like, well, that's something. And then I started getting, well, this girl reached out to me and started talking to me about stuff like you're a spirit guide. I'm like, how do you know that? Because I had just asked the healer that like 2 weeks earlier. Like it was strange. I'm like, why am I asking if I'm a spirit guide in the middle of a healing session? It was so bizarre. But it's like he's like, yes, yes, you're an incarnated spirit guide. I'm like, huh, that's interesting. And then she says it. I'm like, okay, what's going on? Well, and then it opened up this thing. Mhm. But basically, it was like your higher self, or basically, the part of me that is non-physical has been in New Earth for the last 3 or 4 years. New Earth's here. It's been here for a while. Um, but it became, or actually maybe anyway, but we've become more and more conscious of it over the last couple years. And they're like, because you have all these channelers saying, the shift is coming and New Earth is coming, and they're like, no, New Earth is here, you're already there. I'm like, what do you mean I'm already there? Oh, I'm already there. This is new today. No, I'm already there. I'm already in New Earth. I'm like, wait, what? So what does that mean? It means, guys, it's already happened and we're catching up. And what we have to do to catch up is to be our divine selves. When we become our divine selves, we will see it. We will finally experience it because it's not something you can experience as a human. It is not humanly perceptible. It is only perceptible to our divine selves, which now makes last month makes so much more sense. Like, oh, so July, they were like, okay, so, attune, merge, and embody new earth consciousness. Now that suddenly makes so much more sense. Now I get it. Yes. Embody new earth consciousness. Because it's a soul level consciousness. New earth conscious, it's a level of consciousness, and it's a level of consciousness that's only perceptible by our divine beings, by our divine selfhood, our divinity. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And by the way, I'm not talking about the Christian church idea of divinity. I'm not talking about that. I'm not, our divinity is our own. It's not something that's through a priest or anything. No, that's not it. See, I was raised to think of Christianity in a whole different way than most people have been taught. Um, Divinity is yours. It's always been yours. It will always be yours. There's no intermediary in this process at all. You are a divine being. That's just what you are. And I think that's what we're waking up to. But see, the problem is we're still thinking of ourselves as human. I'm a human being trying to access my divinity. And it's like, no, 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 no. You're a divine being. You're a divine being playing a human character. And we have to make that shift. We have to make that shift in consciousness. We have to do it. And that's the work. It's making that shift, shifting out of a human sense of existence to a divine beingness. So being divine. So yeah, so that's how we started, was like merging with and embodying new earth consciousness and embodying our divine essence or soul or divinity. It got confusing as to what we were doing. Um, People different need different words. Then in August, something interesting happened. It's been interesting how they've been doing this with me, like step by step, month by month. It's been very interesting. So the month of August was starting to overcome the belief of separation. People call it separation consciousness. I call it a belief. This belief of separation. And the way they helped me do this was by looking through the eyes of my higher self. Now, I have this meditation that I do, and by guiding people into the meadow, what we were doing is we were getting into embodied awakening, going into the meadow, and then talking to our higher self in the meadow and receiving messages or loved ones or spirit guides. But it was always, your higher self was with you. But see, now the higher self is saying, no, 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 be me, be your higher self. Look at the meadow through the eyes of me, of your higher self. And then they're like, now do this in the waking world, do this in your outer world. Look through the eyes of your higher self at what's out here. And I was like, okay. And it worked and people really liked it. And it was easy for them to do, which was very exciting. So that's what we worked on in August was seeing through the eyes of our higher selves. And and actually they stepped up the divine love piece too. I've been doing an attunement to the frequency of divine love for many, many months. And then I got the nudge to merge with divine love. I was like, okay, well, now I'm embodying divine love. I'm like, I can do that. Like, you're a divine being. Yes. Like, oh, duh. So now it's be divine love. So I did that maximum embodiment of divine love to the greatest extent that serves highest good. And then September 1st came. Today's September 3rd. September 1st came. Now, the night before, well, it was interesting because I was struggling. I was struggling with what was real and true. And I was struggling with where I am, who I am, what I am, kind of stuff was happening. Like, what's real? Like, is it just God and me, or do I have a higher self? Do I have guides? Do I work with angels? What is this thing? Okay. And so that's where I was. And the August 31st, that night, I asked, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna see if you can answer my requests, if you can deliver when I ask for something. And so what I asked for was um a, a pleasant dreams, no nightmares, and to be able to breathe the whole night without needing the CPAP that I use. And I fell asleep. And interestingly, though, it was midnight or a little thereafter when I went to sleep. So it was already September 1st when I made the request. And I slept soundly for 6 hours. I'm like, okay. And I was like, whoa. And so I thanked them. I'm like, thank you for delivering on my request. And then this thought came to me. Please shift me into the highest timeline that serves my highest good. This or something better, thank you. And definitely experienced something. Now, the thing I wasn't sure about was had I already shifted and I just needed to say it, or did I shift when I asked for it? That's the part that wasn't clear to me. But it was clear that I had shifted. I even called my friend and said, "Hey, I'm in 5D." And then I asked her guides like to clarify what this 5D business was, and then I got a little disheartened. I got disheartened. I was like, bummer. Um, and then the day kind of got funky. And then the next day I wasn't doing so great. I was like, huh. And then this morning I woke up and I did my prayers and then I did my invocations. And it was maximum embodiment of my divine divine essence. I don't know. Stop. My dog. Um, something, something. But then I did ask again. Oh, Christ. That's right. Because yesterday I channeled God. That was interesting. I channeled God yesterday. So I'm like, okay, am I talking to God or what? And then it finally hit me that I was talking to the Christ, that it was the Christ that has been speaking to me since I was a little girl. When I was a little girl, I knew that. I recognized it as the Christ. But then something got weird as I grew up and I let go of that idea. But now, it was like when I realized it was the Christ talking to me, like I got all tingly and I'm like, oh yeah, that's the right thing. So I'm like, oh, so I channeled the Christ and the Christ is with me and the Christ moves and speaks through me. Yeah. And then it was then I was like, okay, your divine being. And then I got the idea again to ask. I said, okay, please merge me with the highest timeline that serves my highest good. And this time I really felt a shift. I felt a real shift. And I think yesterday it was just the human was kind of like, I'm not so sure about this kind of thing. And I think that got resolved. And here we are. But they did say, I mean, the thing they did say to me on the first was that this is a process and it's going to take a month. It's going to take the month of September to really sit into being in my highest timeline. And what I'm getting, what I'm it might not be every day, but I think at least every other day, I'm going to be keep asking to shift me into the highest timeline. And and one of two things is going to happen. Either I will stay in this timeline because it is still the highest timeline for me, or I will shift into an even higher timeline. My sense is that I'm in the timeline I need to be for this month at least. So, but it doesn't hurt to ask because number one, it reminds you that you're there. It really it does set things up like okay, I'm in my highest timeline. Cool, you know? So it keeps it front of mind. I think it needs to stay front of mind that I'm in my highest timeline. And okay, so what does that even look like? What does that feel like? And I guess it feels like being divine. Like I'm finally ready to start being my divine self. See, I guess the thing is, I've been working towards this for the last 6 months. Like, I know I need to reach soul level consciousness. I need to keep working on that. I need to work through the belief of separation. I need to more fully embody my awakened self. It was always this something to attain, something to reach for. And now it's like, be, be it. So it's like, no, the attaining, that feeling of needing to attain it is no longer. So I must have been like awakening more and more to where I could just be divine. So my project for September is to be my divine self. Practice divine being. Practice being divine. What does that look like? It definitely means that um, oh yeah, it's like I don't want to keep slipping back into the human. I need to stay in this divine altitude of consciousness, I guess. So it's like, okay, I have to hold myself to a little higher standard here. It's but okay, but it doesn't mean that I have to like do anything. That's not what it is. It's about just reminding myself that this is where I'm at and that I want to stay there. It's like I can be there. I'm far enough along in my spiritual growth that I can be my divine self. But it's a matter of practice. I have to practice it. Like what does it mean? to be divine? What does it feel like? What does it look like? Right now, it feels pretty good. I'm like, I like how I'm feeling. I'm feeling much less heavy, much lighter, much more lifted and not so heavy. And yeah, feels really good. I like it. I'll stay here as long as I can. And I think that's the thing. I think that's the work of this month is to stay in this altitude of consciousness more and more until it becomes my normal. Like, so that's kind of exciting that by the end of this month, I'm going to be fully in my divinity. I will have accomplished that which I sought out earlier this year. How many people can say that? I mean, okay. Now let's hold up a second. It's not like I just started last year. No, I started the next leg of my journey last year. I've been on a spiritual journey for a very long time, since I was old enough to read at the age of 4. And before, actually, because my mom would just tell me. But yeah, from the day I was born, I was told God is love and God loves me and I am a spiritual being. I grew up with that. So I've been challenging the human picture for a very, very long time. Um, what I mean by challenge, because here's the thing. It's like I know that I also have to embrace, being in human form. So what is this really? So it's like it's about it's about appreciating the human form, but not being limited to limiting human consciousness. It's about divine consciousness being in human form. And so my suspicion is that I will be even more appreciative of my body. But more than that, my body is going to be more appreciative of having divine consciousness here. It's like, oh, thank God. So like a lot of the human problems that I've been experiencing with my body, they're going to resolve themselves because consciousness informs the body. And if I am embodying divine consciousness, then that's going to show up in my physical form. It's going to look different. I'm going to look different. I'm going to feel different. Like already, I feel different. So, yeah, so this is about my journey. And for those of you who are on a similar journey, kind of just offering this perspective and inviting you to be a part of it if this resonates with you. Like, are you here to be a divine being like I am? Is this your passion? Is this your focus? Because that's the other thing. They're like, you're not gonna heal. Because I have been struggling with being a healer for a very long time, for decades, because I'm just like, I don't want to be a healer. And I think it's because, the human just sees themselves as broken and in need constantly. Like, I need healing. I need healing of this. I need healing of that. I need this fixed. I need that fixed. And it's like that's not our jobs as divine beings. As divine beings, there's no need for healing. There's no need. It's just harmony and health are a natural outcome of being a divine being. They're just the natural outcome of it. So when you can be your divine self, there's no need for healing anymore. So then what does that mean? What do we do? We spend all of our life trying to fix our bodies. It means we get to do something more evolved. We get to do something at a higher level. And the higher level is expression, creative expression. And that's actually what I came on this earth to do. I came to express my divinity through the arts. I love creative self-expression. It is my passion. That is my actual passion, is creative self-expression. Now, the thing is, it's funny. I'm scared now to do it. It's so interesting. It's like, when I was a kid, I was like, this is what I want to be. I mean, this is the profession I want. Oh, I got to tell you an interesting story about that because I was trying. I'm like, this is what I'm here to be. This is what I'm here to do. And one day I was trying to get back to Berkeley. I had been at Berkeley for a few months and I'd run into my old songwriting teacher. And he's like, if you just come back for one more semester, you will have the professional polish and then you can do this professionally. I'm like, oh, hell yes, I'm coming. That's where I was. And I'm like trying to figure out how to get myself back to Berkeley because I was working at the church just down the street. Like I was down the hill from Berkeley, working in my church as an assistant compensation analyst. It was a wonderful job. I loved it. When I was sitting at my computer, waiting for my computer to power up, and this big, deep bass voice said, "You are not here to serve the music industry. You are here to serve me." Like, oh, and I was like, uh-oh. I didn't, so I was like, okay. So I kind of gave up the Berkeley thing, interestingly. But I get it now. I get it now. I was on a spiritual path, and I am here to serve God. But see, the thing was, well, I think that's the thing. I think the thing is, if I had gone to Berkeley and finished, I would have not written Christian music. I probably would have just written what they told me to write so that I could make a living doing it, rather than writing the songs I came here to write. I think that's probably what was going on there. Because when I was 17, I had this moment of clarity that I was here to God had things to say to us and he wanted to say them through me. I'm like, okay. And I think now that I finally healed all the trauma stuff and I have, worked on embodying my divinity, I think I'm now finally in a place where I can do that, where I can be that clear transparency for truth and love and say what God needs to say through me. And what does that look like? That's the Christ. That's what the Christ is. It's it's God being present in human form to meet the needs of humanity in that time. Because yeah, they're like, you are the avatar for Christ in this age. That was what they told me. And that's what Christ told me this morning. You are the avatar for Christ, just as Jesus was the avatar for Christ in his age. Mrs. Eddy was the avatar for Christ in her age. And now I am the avatar for Christ in this age. Now there are other people who've channeled Christ and they're all value. I try to follow as many, the ones that feel right. I try to follow them as much as possible, but there is a healing aspect to the Christ for humanity. I mean, that was what humanity. Oh, I see. I see. That's what humanity needed. But we are literally in a new age. We are in the new age of Aquarius. And the role of Christ in this new age, literally this new age, the need is very different. Now I understand. It's about divine embodiment. And once you embody your divinity, you don't need to heal. There's nothing to heal anymore. When you're embodying your divinity, there's nothing to heal. Healing is not necessary. It's done. Now, when we're being our divine selves, now it's about expression. It's about expression and it's about collaboration and it's about creating, co-creating. We get to create and create and create. Like the stuff we were born with, that we came in with, that didn't have any value in this old system. Oh, it does now. It does now. I came here to create. That's what I came here to do. And that is what I shall do as a divine being. Because in divinity, there is no fear. You just express. You just express who and what you are freely, without fear, without limitation. You just express, express and express and express. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to express and to create and to inspire and to uplift one another and just revel in the joy of being divine in human form. We get to finally enjoy being human. We finally get to enjoy it the way we were meant to. The struggle and the suffering are over. And now we get to be joyful and radiant and love one another and enjoy each other's presence and enjoy each other's expression of their unique selfhood. It's a beautiful time, and it's going to get even better. This is New Earth. This is New Earth. We have to be our divine being, our divine selves first. Once we're embodying our divinity, then we will see the earth as it was meant to be seen and experience earth as it was meant to be experienced. And that is the new earth. That is the golden age. We're on the cusp. We're on the cusp. But we don't have to wait years. We don't have to wait years. It can happen in the next month or two. It can happen in months. That we will be in the new age. We will be in new earth. And we will be in the golden age for humanity. And it's going to be exquisite and glorious and beautiful. And I can say that because we're already there. Already there. We're just catching up. We're already there. All right, I'm done. Enough waxing for today. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.